Today on the Tim Marner podcast show, we've got our Vicci Collins, hypnotherapist. Vic, I'm going to start off, mate, with, I know we talked about it a little bit, but the word grief and what grief is. Can we talk about your mum and dad a
Yeah, of
little
course.
bit? Could you talk to me about what that was like for you back then?
Well, with my dad, especially because I was a proper daddy's girl. Like, I worshipped the ground he walked on. And I had a bit of a difficult relationship with my dad because he was an alcoholic and he was very violent, never towards me, but in the past had violent tendencies and stuff. So, but he was my everything. And when he passed, I was there when he died, and it just physically broke me. It's like I could feel my heart break, and I had this pain in my chest that just wouldn't go away, and it just built and built and built and built and built, and I couldn't talk to anyone about it for years.
How old were you?
I was 23, and it was just, I tried everything. I ran away from my grief. I came back to my grief. This anxiety just wouldn't go. And it built so badly over the years that it got to a point where I couldn't have, like how you're looking at me now, I couldn't have anybody make eye contact with me. It put me in a panic attack. And eventually I just collapsed. And I got in my bed one day and it's like I give up on life. And I was in bed for 2 years, I didn't get out. Just completely broke me.
In bed for 2 years.
2 years, I didn't do anything with my life at all. I physically couldn't. All I did was cry, eat and sleep. That is it. It was a big kind of dark night of the soul for me. And took about 2 years for me to say, either you're going to end everything or you're going to get better. And there was a little tiny voice inside me that was like, you need to get better. And I pleaded with the universe in that moment. I was like, how do I get better? Please tell me how to get better. And I said, you know what, I'm going to go have a shower. And I got in the shower, excuse me, and I had my music playing because it used to help with my anxiety. And you know when you're kind of there but you're not there, kind of like thing, like when you're washing up or something. And it's like I came back into the room as I was having a shower and Linkin Park was playing, Nobody Can Save Me Now. And that one line that said, been searching somewhere out there for what's been missing right here. And I don't want to let you down, but only I can save me. And I've listened to that song about 100 times, but it's like in that moment, it's the only time I heard it, really, really heard it. And it resonated with me so much. And I was like, no one's going to come and help me. I need to do this for myself. And it's like a million light bulbs went off in my head. Ooh. And I was like, and that was the day, that was that kind of day dot of my new journey, really.
What is that new journey like? Where'd you go from there?
It's just been a journey of peace. That's what it's been, a journey of peace. I was so laser focused on myself. I didn't care about anybody else in my life in that moment. And I was just like, I need to do things for myself. And I committed to myself doing one thing for me every single day.
Like what, Vic? What would you mean?
It would just be like, because I was so depressed for so long, my house was a mess, Tim. I couldn't wash the pots. It was just chaotic. And I was like, right, you know what? I'm going to focus on one little corner, one drawer that's just full of crap. And I just did one little thing each day. And after about 6-7 weeks, I noticed I wanted to do 2 things a day. So instead of me focusing on the 1,000,001 things that I hadn't done, I focused on the fact that, you know what, I drank water today. And I just focused on that one thing, and I was proud of myself for it. And the more I did that, the more I wanted to do for myself. And it just kind of became a snowball effect moving forward from there. So it was just really going inwardly during that time.
Did you know how to do that? Or was it just an intuitive thing?
It was just an intuitive thing, really. Well, just before I had my light bulb moments, I started getting into tarot. And I've never been one for like fortune telling and things. I don't believe in all that stuff. But I started getting into tarot and using intuition, and tarot itself actually helped me. I'd pull a card, like, what do I need to focus on today? What do I need to focus on? And it really helped me dig into my shadows and really pull out everything that I've been hiding for my whole life, really, not just since my dad passed, but my whole life. And even though I went through that journey, it was only in 2021 when I was certified as a hypnotherapist. I really came to terms. He died in 2014. And in 2021, I came to terms with the fact that he'd gone. And then the year later, my mum died. So I coped with my mum's death a lot easier than I did my dad's.
Because you had the tools of how to deal with grief?
I believe so. And I had a lot more guilt over my mum than I did my dad, which I had to work through. But
how do you do that? What do you mean by that? You got a lot of sort of resentment towards a guilt? What do you mean? And how do you?
Well, I had guilt because I thought to myself, I wasn't there when she died.
Right.
Because there was a whole lot of things, with COVID and stuff like that. And they said, we could have stayed, but my brother was like, no, I want to go. So I was like, right, okay. And I gave in and I left. And then they called and said that she'd passed. And I carried guilt for that because I was like, if that was my dad, I would have gone head over heels and just demanded that I stayed with him. Yeah. I'm like, but I didn't do that for my mum. Why didn't I do that for my mum? And I carried that guilt, and I had to really process that in many different, and it took quite some time. Even if I think about it now, really, there's still etches of
feel
guilt
that trigger line.
That come up for me, and I just have to, and it's hard with the grief because you can't speak to the person who you're feeling guilty for.
You can't say sorry.
You can, but it's like, what do they do? So what I do in hypnotherapy, I have helped people with grief before, and I bring them to like a magic garden in hypnotherapy. And so what I would do, I would say to my mum, like, let's just say you're my mum now in this place. I would say to my mum exactly what I want to say.
So you bring that person to that magic garden to...
Yes.
Right.
I'd say what I need to say, but then I would flip it and become my mum, and I would say back to me in my mum's voice what that reply would be to what I've said, and you kind of flip the conversation like that, and it is very, very cathartic, to be fair.
Why magic garden? Why is it a magic garden? Just because it's a safe, it sounds like a safe space.
Yeah, I'd say so, because it's something that you can create in your mind, and even if it's not a garden, it could just be a place where you feel safe in your mind, something that you can create. And even if you're not in hypnotherapy...
You know what a garden looks like? I've studied in the garden before. I can easily get there. Right.
Yeah, and you can make it however you want to make it. So you could have anything there that you want.
Yeah.
And you create that vision in your mind. And even if you're not in hypnotherapy, you're home, you get triggered in a certain way with your grief.
Yeah.
You can lie down in your bed, you can go to that place anytime and have that same conversation with whoever you need to.
Powerful, very powerful. So when did you decide to become a hypnotherapist? And why did you decide to become a hypnotherapist?
Well, I always wanted to, so I've got a degree in psychology, and I always wanted to do...
See, we've just skipped that, maybe. Go on. You're not about the labels and stuff.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
No, so I was just, because it was a carry-on, really, so I wanted to do counselling after I did my degree.
Right.
But I think, I never knew it at the time, but I think I had a lot of imposter syndrome. Like, my life is a big mess. I'm a big mess. How am I supposed to help people, really and truly speaking?
Yeah.
So it was just, and for me, talking therapy, I've had talking therapy throughout all my years, and it was kind of re-traumatizing, really, having to constantly talk about stuff that had traumatized you. And I was like, I want something that's a little bit more forward focused. So I was looking into coaching, and I was doing some research and stuff like that, and this guy called Andrew Parr popped up on an advert, and I was like, normally, you just skip him, don't you? But I was just really drawn to him, and I clicked on his thing, and he was talking about hypnotherapy, and the way that he kind of described like different triggers and stuff like that, and he did it on like a whiteboard. And I was like, oh, I like this guy. And that's the same thing that happened with you, really, Tim.
Yeah.
And I clicked on it and I filled out the form. He rang me the next day. He said, this is the course. It's going to take 6 months. Then you have to do some bits after that in order to get your qualification and stuff. And I was like, let's do it.
You just knew?
Yeah.
Intuitively knew?
Yeah. It was like, it just kind of came and I was like, yep, this is what I want to do. And the more I got into it, the more I was like, this works. It really actually works. So I just never look back.
What is hypnotherapy, mate? To break it down for somebody, what is hypnotherapy?
Hypnotherapy is where you basically get into, so you have the hypnosis aspect of things.
Yeah.
Which is where you just get put into a very relaxed state.
Yeah.
It's a very natural state.
A meditative state.
It is kind of way, yes. So it's like a meditative trance. So you're conscious, but you're not conscious.
Yeah.
And your brain waves go into a theta state, and then that's where you can get access more easily to your subconscious mind. So the therapy aspect of things now is where we look at what's in the subconscious mind, whether that's a limiting belief, a core belief, whatever that may be.
Yeah, little Tim's got some probs.
Yeah. And then you kind of like, you work through to flip the perspective on it, because everything's down to perspective. Everything that we are is what we believe we are. That story that I've told myself. Yeah, it is. It's your perspective on life. If you can flip that perspective, that's the transformation. So everything comes down, the core of everything is your perspective on life, on that particular situation. And if you can flip it, that's where the hypnotherapy comes in. And it can be a little bit traumatic as you work through that, to be fair.
But so are you're talking about shadow work here, aren't you?
Yes.
Basically. So you're outlining shadow work. I mean, it sounds cool, doesn't it? I'm doing shadow work.
Oh, yeah. It's a big buzzword now, isn't it?
There's fucking nothing cool about it at all.
Absolutely not.
It's minging.
It is absolutely. It's brutal. That's the word I can bring. It's brutal.
But it's brutally beautiful.
It is. It's very bittersweet, yeah. Once you get through it, and you have that, again, flipping that perspective to come to an acceptance, you just find that peace within you, and you become a little bit more whole each time you address any of your shadows. And it's just a very peaceful journey.
For you to put somebody in this meditative state, what are the ways that you do it? Are there different ways of doing it that you sort of like put that person into that? What are the different ways of doing it?
So there are different inductions that you can do. Induction,
is that what they call it?
Right, yeah, so you induce somebody, so like how you would induce somebody into labour, for example. Right. You would use techniques to induce somebody into a meditative state. So lots of people use different techniques, to be fair. Like some people will use like actual hand gestures and stuff like that. So they'll tell you to like, look at me, and they'll tell you to put your arms in the air, let them go down. And then it just basically, that allows you to gauge how analytical a person is really, and how open they are to...
susceptible to,
to different suggestions. So if I tell you to close your hands, close your eyes, and then drop your hands, if you do it, I know that you're quite susceptible to suggestions because you're doing it.
Right.
If I tell you to hold your hand out and hold this hand out, and imagine books are going on this hand, and if I see this hand going down, even though there's no books there, I know that you're more susceptible. Your analytical mind's not in the forefront. So if you do find somebody who's just like, it's not working, you're like, okay, I need you to use your imagination a bit. Use your imagination.
Fucking voodoo magic, this woman.
I know, yeah, what are you doing?
So obviously, like, you realise that and you know where that person's at. And then what do you do after that, once you know that?
So then, once they're kind of induced and they're allowing themselves to go into that state, you would guide them through something called a deepener.
Oh, come on, talk to me about this.
So usually, the normal standard thing is maybe like going down a staircase, counting down from 10 to 1. And you do it very gradually, very slowly. And it just kind of deepens them into that meditative state. So they're still very conscious, but they're still just very, very relaxed at the same time. And then you can bring the visualizations into it moving forward.
It's basically a guided meditation, is it not?
It is, yeah, to get you into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's very similar for a lot of hypnotherapists. Some hypnotherapists use, if you have things called rapid inductions. And if you might see them on TV where somebody like holds your wrists or something, and then all of a sudden you're on the floor. And that's the way of, I've never done that personally, but there's lots of different ways that you can induce somebody. It's just how you've practiced your skill on that, really.
And then once they're in there, did you talk to these people before to understand the sort of wants and needs and the problem, and then you know where to go to, what they need to... Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely. So I have a consultation. So before anything, we always have a 30-minute consultation.
Yeah.
We'll talk about what it is that you want to work on, what it is that's really troubling you, like what emotion are you struggling with. A lot of people, it's anxiety, depression, anger, a lot of people as well. And then once they tell me that, then I'll know how to loop that into the therapy aspect of the hypnotherapy.
How many times you look at that person and they're telling you, and then you intuitively know that that's not the problem?
All the time,
Right.
Mostly with everybody, because a lot of people don't. It's surprising how many people don't even know what they're feeling. They can't label what they just know something's not right. I'm in chaos.
Yeah.
Don't know what they're feeling at all.
Yeah, the heart and the brain are an interesting thing, aren't they? Where your brain can tell you one thing, but your heart feels something totally else.
Yeah.
The memories on your heart that you don't even know that's bothering you.
No, because trauma stores in your body.
Yeah.
It stores in your body. It's not in your mind where people think it is, really.
Yeah.
It stores in your body. So
No matter what counsellor you're going to doing talking therapy, you're talking from here, not your heart, are you?
Exactly.
Where what you're doing is actually getting to here and opening this up.
The nitty-gritty aspect of
The
things.
nitty-gritty shadow fucking shit.
Yeah, exactly.
And can you do this on yourself now?
Like self-hypnosis?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I would even encourage my clients to do self-hypnosis as well. Like when they're at home, if they want to do, like, as I said, just start off as a guided meditation, just get yourself into that state. Or even you go very naturally into a hypnotic state. First thing in the morning when you wake up, you're in a hypnotic state because your
it's
brain
still
waves,
open a little bit. Like.
Yeah, your brain waves are still in theta for a while after you wake up.
Right.
And the same just before you go to sleep. Your brain waves slow down to allow you to get into a sleep state. So just before you doze off, you're in a very hypnotic state. So that's a very good time.
The magic garden hour.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Those are the best times. Listen to affirmations that are, and I don't just mean random, I am going to be a millionaire next week. I mean real ones that are connected to you and what you want to work on.
Give me some examples of what someone's affirmation should be, and to really sort of connect with it emotionally instead of just going, I am a millionaire, I am.
Yeah, that's what you want to try and manifest, which is fine. But in order to manifest your life, you have to work on your beliefs, because you are what you believe. And even if your conscious mind tells you to, and you're taking steps in your conscious mind, if you've not dealt with your subconscious mind, that deals with 95% of your reality. So it's going to drag you back every single time. You're going to self-sabotage something because you've not aligned the subconscious mind. And that's why those affirmations and those suggestions during those moments can be very powerful. So if you want to say, for example...
So I'm telling yourself a different story to what them stories being told.
Yeah, because over
I am
the years,
healthy, I am wealthy, I am in abundance.
Yeah, I am healing. I have got that on my screensaver on my phone all the time.
I am healing.
I am healing. I am healing every day in every way. I am getting better and better. And it's just something that you have to... What's the word I'm looking for? Personalize it to the journey that you're trying to embark on, to the belief systems that you currently have that are not serving you in any shape, way or form. You need to flip it on the other side.
Good work, that, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like for me, a lot of things come down to being worthy. Like I always felt like I had to earn somebody's love, even my own parents. I had to earn it. And so throughout life, if I wasn't in a certain way, or if I didn't achieve certain things, or if I had an off day, I believed I wasn't worthy of love. So one of my affirmations is I am worthy of love, and I will give myself love every day.
Ooh.
You just have to...
It all comes down to love, does it not?
I believe so. I do.
Me too.
Yeah, I
Me
believe
too.
so.
I just think the word love's attached to something a bit weird with people when they can't say it. But like, if you've ever experienced love for yourself, like it is next level.
It is. It absolutely is. And for me, I struggle with the love aspect of things and people understanding my perspective of love, because people feel like you have to have different types of love for different things, different people. And I don't believe that.
I don't either.
I think love is one. It's a frequency. It's an action. It's a way of being, and it's the same across the board. If you love somebody, you love somebody, and that's that. It's the connection that's different with each person. So obviously, your connections with your mum is going to be different to the connection with your partner, but the love's still the same. Still exactly the same. It's not different. And I think a lot of people tie love up into things that tie love up into things like personal needs, what you need from a relationship, what you need from a person. That's not love neither.
Yeah, I heard someone the other day said they loved the car. And I'm like, do you? It's a bit weird. How can you love a car? Can you balls?
Why not?
Because it's a material thing. You don't love a material thing, do you?
You could do, yeah, but it's still like people love the plants.
Yeah, well, that's a living thing.
But you can't talk to it. You can't talk to it. You can't have any communication with it. So if I talk to my plant, it would be the same as me talking to my car.
Nah, I think that plant's communicating with you. I think flowers
do too.
Right, the frequency.
I do too.
This is what I feel. I don't think, which is a perfect way you're saying it, I don't think you can love something that can't communicate with you or is on a frequency with you.
But does everything not have a frequency? Everything in the universe has a frequency. Everything.
A car?
Why not?
I don't know.
Why not? If you're going down into the quantum physics of it. Yeah. Well, I mean, if you look at a quartz watch and you're using quartz crystals, that's got its own frequency. Everything made this has a frequency. I mean, according to some people now, this table would have a consciousness. Whether we want to go into that or not is a different kettle of fish. But everything would still have its everything vibrates at its own frequency of where it is, of what it is. So to love a car, I mean, it might sound weird, but
I've seen videos of people loving cars a bit too much, and it's not good, right?
I know.
But what I'm saying is that I've sort of attached myself to that car, saying I love it, and if it went, then I'd be destroyed.
That's different.
Is
that's
it?
Attachment. That's not love. Love. There's no attachment in love, because no matter what you do, no matter what you say, no matter where you go, my love is not going to change. That's love. It's unconditional. Now, it doesn't mean that you get to treat me however you want to treat me, but it's still unconditional. However you are in whatever moment, whether you're high, whether you're low, it doesn't matter. My love is not going to change. Now, attachment would be, I need you in my life in order to fulfill something that I've got going on for me. And if I was to lose you, I would be absolutely distraught because the attachment's gone. That's not love.
Maybe I do love my truck then, because I do. You know what I mean? I'd be a bit. I'm not attached to it. Like, I'd be a bit gutted if it went, but like, I'm like, yeah, I do fucking love it.
Yeah.
All right, Vic. Yeah, all right.
Yeah. I don't see why not.
It's weird, isn't it? The word love and attachment. You know, getting attached to things. You know, I know we talked about before about a bit of grief and stuff, but like I sort of lost my dog last year, and it was the first time that I allowed grief for me to feel grief.
Yeah.
I truly loved that dog.
Yeah.
Was attached to that dog. But there was also a part of me that can I get to a point where that doesn't affect me? Where like if my dog dies, mate, honestly, for 2 days I was sat home screaming, crying, just he still gets me now.
You've lost something that's so close to you, and people look at an animal, oh, it's just an animal, but it's not. It's part of your family. You create a bond when you have a bond with something or someone, and that bond is broken. It's devastating. It's absolutely devastating. And the amount of grief that you feel for someone is a testament to how much you loved it.
Yeah.
It's to how much time and energy you invested into that. And even though, you know, your dog can't talk to you or anything like that, but your dog understands you. you could be sat there in one of your lowest points, and it will just sit there with you. It's not going to judge you. It's not going to do anything. And those types of bonds with animals are so strong. And for me, I always say, when it comes to any kind of grief, it never leaves you. It never leaves you. It gets easier. So it'll, like, obviously you're not going to sit there for 2 days every time you think about your dog and cry.
Yeah.
You will get to a point where you're still going to feel it. You're still going to feel that trigger inside you, like, I've lost my dog. But it does get easier over time. And I think what we have to do with grief is it leaves a kind of hole within us, and we have to acknowledge that hole. We have to, don't try and fill it up with stuff that's going to distract you from it. It's a hole.
That's what I tried doing, mate. Before, when I was a bit younger, I'd go to the gym or I'd go to work to take my mind off it.
Yeah.
But everything that I've learned, all the shadow work I've done, I knew I had to sit with it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, fuck me. But I was just like, right, come on, just bring it on. And I felt every bit of what's it. Yeah. And now, well, apart from now, I can talk about it without it triggering me so much. And I am so grateful to myself and love myself for being able to do that.
Absolutely. And it's a difficult thing to do, to sit with that pain.
Yeah.
And it's not just pain, because you have so many stages of grief. You know, you've got the pain, you've got the anger, you've got all of the things that come with it, and it's not linear. So you think one minute you think, oh, you know what, I'm feeling okay, then the next minute it's there again. It just comes round full circle. And I think that's why that whole that I was talking about, it's just to acknowledge it and accept it as a whole. It was a piece of you, and that dog took that little piece with it as it left, and that's fine, because that's a testament to the bond that you both had. And it's the same with anybody who you lose, really. It's okay to have that little hole. Decorate it however you want, put flowers around it, do whatever, but the hole's always going to be there. For me, unfortunately, that's what I feel. It just gets easier as time goes on.
Do you think you can have a relationship like that with a dog or a person and come to the actual, that much of it peace and sort of like safety within, love within yourself, that if that person goes, that it doesn't affect you, that it's just, you know, that that's just part of life and people dying?
I think so.
Or do you have to be a Tibetan monk living in a cave to actually get to that?
I always thought that.
Yeah.
I always thought that. And I think grief's a big part of life. To act as if it's not going to affect you in any kind of way when you lose somebody you love is unrealistic. But the level, again, bringing your perspective back, if you look at it as, oh my God, I've lost this person, and what if you look at what you've lost, that's where the attachment aspect of things come in, and that's where the lower kind of vibration comes with it as well, because you're looking at what you've lost. But so it's all about flipping that perspective. So, like for me, for example, I would have given anything to have just one more minute with my dad. But I've got to a point now, if somebody came to me with a magic wand and said, would you like to spend 5 minutes with your dad? I'd say no, because he's had his journey. He's lived his life and he's on his journey. He's wherever he needs to be now, and he's doing what he needs to do. Yes, it hurts, but I think that's where the detachment comes in. So once you can detach from it and be like, that's their journey, it becomes easier for you.
That word detachment's got such a negative connotation with it, that you kind of don't care anymore.
No, because detachment is, because you can love without being attached. So I will always love my dad. He will always be my world. But I'm finally able to kind of cut those cords that connected us, so he can do whatever he's doing in the afterlife, wherever he is, and I can continue living my life without having to stay in bed for 2 years, being brokenhearted. So having that detachment is healthy. It's very, very healthy. And it's, I think, one of the main aspects of a spiritual journey, to be able to detach yourself from anyone and anything, because if you are so attached to something, it has so much control over you. You have a fear, oh my God, if I lose that, I can't. And then you become somebody who you're not, to try and keep it in your life. And that's why a lot of toxic relationships happen, because you're attached to a person so much. And it's not really love, it's just attachment. They're fulfilling some form of need for you. And without that, you feel so fearful and living in fear.
Yeah, you do some mad shit.
Yeah, it makes you become somebody who you're not. It brings you so far away from yourself. So detachment is a very healthy thing. I will love you forever and ever and ever. But if you choose to walk out my door today, I know I'm still going to be okay because I am stable. I've got a good foundation. And that's okay. Everybody's got their own journey to live. It doesn't mean that I'm not worthy because you've decided to leave me or because you've decided to do whatever. I'm still worthy of everything that I'm worthy of. But your journey is your journey. So detachment for me is very healthy. It's not a negative thing at all.
It's mad, don't it? Just like people say you're detached from emotion, you're detached from thing, that it becomes negative and people kind of go, oh, I don't want to be detached. You know, I want to be connected. But the word detachment comes with being disconnected. And that's the problem.
Yeah, that is it. Yeah, absolutely, yeah. You've hit the nail on the head there.
But being detached is such a powerful thing.
Yeah, it is. In the right circumstances, I do think, because you do get some people who are very detached from their own emotions. If you're detached from self, that might become an issue. I
think you like reframe and be disconnected from emotions, not detached from emotions, so we don't get confused.
I see what you, yeah.
I think detached should be more positive.
Yeah, absolutely. It is very healthy to be detached. Bring it into, just have a different spin on it.
Yeah, a different view on it.
Yeah.
Interesting that, isn't it? The things that, the way my life would have planned out, would be more detached at times.
I know, yeah.
And I do feel that, you know, maybe I've come a little bit detached with my own identity as well, which is quite nice. Where, you know, once there was this guy who got tattoos, who beard, and used to go to the gym to prove some sort of ego thing, that I might detach from that now to kind of go, really hard to go to the gym today. I'd rather be in a meditative state and become nothing so I can be everything.
Right, yeah, prioritising what you need at that time.
Yeah.
Rather than just thinking one thing is going to serve everything.
Yeah.
And just knowing what that is, and knowing what that is for you. And being detached from your ego is such, I mean, people call it an ego death, but I'm again, with wordplay, I'm not a massive fan of calling it ego death because you can never kill your ego. It's always going to be there. It's your survival mechanism.
What is ego to you, Vic? How do you explain ego?
Your ego is basically just your survival mechanism. It is there to stop you from dying.
So it's very fear-based.
It is. Everything's in fear. So, for example, it's a very happy thing to have. It's a very good thing to have, as I always say, is if you're being chased by a bear in the woods. Your ego's going to kick in and be like, right, we're going to die in a minute. We need to, and it'll pump, your amygdala will start pumping your adrenaline. All your blood gets brought to your extremities, fight or flight mode, and it saves your life. So it's good when you're being chased by a bear in the woods. But if you're going for a job interview and you need money, and you're like, I really, really need this job, and your conscious mind is like, yes. Your ego's always going to try and keep you in the same place because it knows it's safe. So having that detachment from your ego allows you to continue moving forward. It causes a lot of procrastination when your ego is in charge. So your ego's always going to be there. It's never going to die, but it's a servant. It's not a master.
Wow, right, yeah, I like that. Yeah, like you said, I've heard that many times, that ego death. And now you saying it, you don't really want that. You just want to become a master of it.
Yeah. You get to dictate. I mean, it's a very... you can't control that reaction. So when you feel that fear, when you have that perception of something, like, for example, if you've got a rabid dog coming at you, you're gonna... That fear is gonna... It's an involuntary response. But when it comes to the everyday things, if I look at my surroundings, am I in any real threat?
Yeah,
no, everything's peachy, everything's fine. But that anxiety and that ego your ego will just kick off something because there's certain perception that it's got, and it's like, no, something's not right here. Do you remember that time in 1996 when this happened because we was in this place? And it'll keep you very, very stuck in the same place where you are. It doesn't want you to progress, and it's not because it hates you. It's just because that's its job, to keep you safe.
Yeah.
So you need to analyse in your consciousness as, I'm fine. There's nothing going on here. What's the worst that can happen if I go for that job interview? They say no. Fine, I'll go to the next one. So it's about allowing your ego to be there, but not overtake you.
Yeah. I think Betty has a little bit of a problem with that. And I don't mean it in a bad way, but she's very jumpy. Yeah. And I feel like she lives in that fight or flight mode where a beeping all around kind of walking and she just like jumps like, where she's in this state of fight and flight.
Right.
What would you do for Betty to help her get out of that state if you were gonna work with her?
The first thing that
Because a lot of jumpy people out there and they are in that state.
Yeah, because that's anxiety. That's
Right.
anxiety. So your anxiety is the same thing. It's trying to protect you.
Right. Okay.
So when it becomes a coping mechanism of day-to-day life, that's when it can become a problem. So for me, the first thing that I would say to anybody who's got anxiety is to, first of all, the first thing you need to do is become the observer of yourself. And I seen a thing on Facebook the other day actually, and they basically said if you imagine yourself as in a pond with fish, and all of the fish represent your emotions, you need to be the water. So you need to be the container of those emotions and the observer of those emotions. So you can see your sadness over here, you can see your anxiety over here. And once you can observe them, you're not in the anxiety yet, you're completely out of it. So that's the first thing that I would teach any of my clients who would suffer with something like that, to become the observer. And once you become the observer, then you can start working through the anxiety itself, because you're not in it. You can't work through anxiety when you're feeling the anxiety all the time.
And understanding that's what it is as well.
Yeah, understanding that's
acknowledging that that's what's happening.
Yeah, it's just trying to keep you safe. That's all it's trying to do. It's just trying to protect you from something that it's perceiving. All of these triggers that we have, they're literally just parts of us. They're parts of us that are coming to the surface in that moment, like, woo, can I have a bit of attention, please? Can I have a bit of love, please? Something's happened here, what's going on? And it's just one part of ourselves, and it could be from when we were 6, when we was 21, when we was 13. It's a certain aspect of ourselves that's just coming to the surface. So it's not demons that you have to battle. In my opinion, that's how I express it to people.
It's just questions you have to ask yourself.
It's just parts of you. Like, why are you going to be battling yourself all the time? For what? Yeah. It's just a part of you coming up saying, look, this has triggered me. It's made me feel a kind of way like I did when I was 6. Can you just give me some love? So you become the parent of yourself in that moment. You become the observer, and you're like, you know what, love? I'll sit with you for 10 minutes. I'll work through this with you. You come out of yourself and work through those versions of yourself, and just let them feel safe, let them feel loved. You love them. You don't have to fight them every day. You give them love, and that's where the wholeness comes in.
Nice way of putting it, that, mate. Really like that. So, say, for instance, somebody was like that. How many sessions? Does it just depend on how deep that goes, that how many sessions they'd work with you on?
Excuse me, sorry. I would say so, yes. So, there's no set amount of time. So, somebody's anxiety could go through to the fact that they had a car crash a year ago, and it doesn't go beyond that. So that's you can work through that last year quite quickly. If you've got somebody who's got anxiety and that stems back to when they was 2 because something very bad happened, the amount of coping mechanisms and adaptations that have come from that trauma,
the stacking on top of each other,
which are then attached to it's like a spider web, really.
Shit, right, yeah.
So it's attached to so many different things. If you can get immediately to the core, you can. Once you can get back to that 2-year-old and in a regression in hypnotherapy, it'll be easier, because everything after that doesn't really. It stems from that core thing. Yeah.
I was explaining to someone the other day that I've been to talking therapy, and it's almost like a bit of like Jenga, where you're stacking the problems right at the bottom and you're stacking all these pieces on top.
Yeah.
They've been to talking therapy. They went to maybe the third one down and pulled it out. Where I did the sort of mushroom experience, and it just went whoop, right to the bottom and went poof, and the thing just went.
And that's exactly what you want.
Right.
That is exactly what
so
you
that's
want.
literally what you're doing, is taking people to that place
Yeah.
that maybe the subconscious mind has pushed it down so far that you can't even talk. Maybe you don't even remember it because you've. Right.
Yeah, it's true. But that Jenga and analogy that you just said there, that is exactly what you're looking to do. You're looking to get that piece to take out for everything to crumble in that session. And it might sound a bit brutal, but once everything crumbles, then you can reframe it. You can reframe it however you want it to be. You can create everything differently. So that's what you want, that complete crash. You don't just want to take little surface, little bits out at the top, and just because that's very surface level. Once everything crumbles and that whole perception of that specific situation or trauma or whatever, once that's shattered, that's transformation.
Massive.
That's transformation. And you'll cry it out and you'll grieve it, and even though it's not good for you, you still grieve what's not good for you because it's been with you for so long.
You've been carrying it so long.
It was part of your identity. So now it's not. But you get to shape who you become. You don't. I always used to say, you kind of rediscover your true self. But really and truly speaking, as I'm going on my own journey, you don't rediscover anything. You create who you are. There's no template. There's no original thing here that you go back to. Yeah. Because that wasn't you. So you're letting all those bits go, and now you get to create who you want to be.
Yeah. Never stop growing.
Yeah.
So I was saying to you, just kind of like maybe the first 40 years of my life, I've sort of learned so much, and then now in my last 40, I'm trying to unlearn everything that I've learned to kind of go, it's fucking all nonsense. It's a bunch of nonsense, man.
It is. It
bloody
is.
meat sack in front of you. I'm like, it's just all energy, man. It's all love. You don't have to like create some sort of thing. Identity is such a thing, because obviously we talk about personal branding, and branding, it's very much about identity. A lot of it is how you look, but the really important thing is who you are and why you're doing it. Yeah. And understanding that. Once you truly understand it, you realise that it's nonsense.
It is.
And it's all love.
It is. And that's another part of your ego as well, to be fair, going back to the ego aspect of things, is your ego is who you show yourself outwardly to the world. So your shadows is everything that you hide, but your ego is who you want people to see you are. And once you have that detachment as well, that's where you don't care if you're just like, if you don't like me, I genuinely don't care.
That's why I love working with brands who like genuinely don't. I'm just like, oh my god, it's like, this is going to be amazing. Yeah, like what can we do to to be aligned? That's what it's all about. Being aligned with what it is that you looking to be, what it is that you're looking to achieve. Yeah. You don't have to be what you've been taught to be your whole life. You can decide who you want to be yourself. You just have to work through all that shit, unfortunately. How do you think somebody gets to that realisation of that?
I think...
Have you got to go through an hard time, or are you like, fuck me, I really do not like myself?
Well, I always thought to myself, it gets to a point where I do think that you get pushed into it. You get pushed into an awakening. And whether that could be from grief, from some form of loss. A lot of people, they've lost a job after 30 years and it meant so much to them, it was a big part of their life. Somebody who was a musician had the hand cut off, they can't play no more. Devastating to their lives because it was a big part of who they was. Once you can get past that, then you're free on your journey, really. But that awakening, I believe you always get pushed into it. Life will push you into that journey of individuation at some point, regardless. I think everybody has to go through that journey of individuation, and it could happen when you're 20, it could happen when you're 60, but it will happen to you.
Yeah. The way you frame it, mate, is really good, you know. Is this the first podcast you've done?
Yeah.
You come across so well.
Am I doing good?
Well, it's just like two mates talking it more than anything. But
Well, yeah,
I
that's
think
true.
it's the way you frame it. Do you know what I mean? It's not woo-woo. It's not... You're talking on such a level that... I mean, I keep saying this over and over again, but there's a spiritual movement happening where they're talking in a certain way that if you are spiritual, then they're for you. But the people that really need it, they're not aligned with that. They're aligned with how you're talking. The people that really need this work need you and the way you deliver it to them. The language that they're using over here about my inner heart sanctum, it's not the right language to use for the people that really need the help.
Yeah.
The way you talk is what we need to do.
I see what you mean.
Yeah. I just wanted to tell you that because it's important.
well,
what you're doing, mate. You know that already.
Well,
it's
I
just
do
you're not
feel
fucking
it.
doing anything
No.
on social media, are you?
No, I'm not.
Have
I
you
was
got an
just-
Instagram account, Vicci?
I have actually, but I was just telling Betty about 3 weeks ago, someone hacked my account.
Right.
So, and I couldn't get back into it because they changed the email address, so I've had to make a new one.
Right.
But it'll
Yeah,
go
yeah,
through
yeah,
as
yeah.
it goes through.
As it goes through, very
Yeah.
good.
So,
You're not attached to it.
I wasn't, no. I was just like, right, fine, I'll just make a new one. It's okay.
See you later. Right, so if somebody's going to get in touch with you and they need your help, and I feel like a lot of people do, how do they get in touch with you? And what would you say is the best way? Just booking for a consultation with you, how do they find you?
Yeah, they can. Well, I've got a website.
Yeah.
VicciCollins.co.uk.
Yeah.
And all my details are
That's
on there.
Vicci, V-I-C-C-I Collins.
It is, yes, VICCI. It's very important, Tim.
Very important. We'll put the links in the description, everybody, so people can book in with Vic as well.
Oh, thank you very much.
Yeah,
That's very much appreciated.
Um,
If you don't have to book in for a consultation, you can WhatsApp me. All the details are on there.
so don't need to book in for a consultation.
Well-
What is your preferred thing? What do you want people to do?
I prefer people to ring. I'm a phone person, me,
Right.
because I...
Just ring you up, say, Vic, I've got this going on.
Yeah.
Diddle-diddle-diddle.
Or just send me a message on WhatsApp
Yeah.
and I'll give you a tinkle. You can book a
I've
consultation.
got a fear of hamsters. How do I get over it, Vicky?
Yeah.
Bam, 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 bam.
That's absolutely fine, love. Don't worry. We'll get you through that. We'll get you over that phobia.
Right. Appreciate you, mate.
I appreciate you
We're
having
going
me.
to do some amazing things. I know we are.
We are.
You
yes.
are, 1,000,000%. Thanks for you. Thanks for listening, everybody. Goodbye.
Tim Marner, what, you ready?